Do you like to go out in the hills or mountains and take a deep breath of the fresh air, or drink from a stream? Or would you rather walk along a beach on the moonlight, or sunbathe on that same beach? There's a poem that goes, "I don't think I will ever see a poem as lovely as a tree." And almost everything about living in a modern life today has been about mastery and conquering nature, when we should really be looking more towards unity with nature. Too often companies are jumping too fast in genetic manipulation of natural organisms, when in the past we've used time and patience when working with similar plants or animals to create hybrids that produce seeds and create a new plant that is stable and a fertile creature that is blending the genetics of the parent plant, not some Frankenflora. The whole of religion teaches us respect for nature. Buddha gained consciousness while under the Bodhi tree, and Adam's job in Genesis was to name all the animals and plants, and the same thing is done by every scientist who discovers a new species. Islam teaches respect for scientists and doctors, and St. Thomas Aquinas taught that careers that dealt closely with nature, those who sought to understand plants or human anatomy, or even how the stars in the sky moved, were studying the works of the Creator and were as pious as those who study religion. It seems to me, since the development of scientific method during the Enlightenment, it has ruled how we've lived our lives, from providing accurate clocks to organ transplant to television and the internet. Without science, we don't have an explanation of how your car even gets down the road. Why is it that there's so many skeptics about climate change? Over 97% of scientists who study the issue have came to a consensus. But let's put aside that several of the top 10 hottest days in recorded history have happened within the last 15 years. And most of the strongest storms in recorded history have happened within the past 25 years, and the worst forest fires, flooding, and droughts in recorded history have also happened within the past 20 years. There are more serious issues that are absolutely man-made, that are polluting the environment, causing damage to wildlife and humankind alike. What we know about carbon monoxide, ozone, and other hazardous chemicals produced when running our cars, but we often don't think about the poisons pumped into the air during the manufacture of all those chemicals that go into our cars or building our cars. The pollution that goes into finding and exploring fossil fuels. It still takes an average of 5 drills to get one hole to produce. The low-hanging fruit has been picked. It's harder and harder to get fossil fuels, and the dangers of a spill from oil and tar sands is very evident. It's still occurring every single week. The natural gas is harder to detect and therefore more dangerous to humans and nature to extract. I won't go even into the rape of the landscape that's mountaintop removal, using massive explosions to remove thousands of acres of habitat that's been used by man and nature for a millennia to be replaced by scarred landscapes barely able to grow grass and streams poisoned for all life. Science has been warning us for well over 60 years about peak oil and climate change, and some people are still denying the chickens are coming home to roost. Well, what's my answer? We as a nation need to work with nature. We use our resources to work with nature to harness sunlight and wind, as well as submersible hydropower. The cost for wind and solar has dropped dramatically over the past 5 years. With existing dams along the Ohio and other rivers in America, it's just a matter of a little ingenuity to retrofit turbines into these dams. If we keep subsidizing coal, oil, and natural gas, what happens when you run out of those finite resources? It costs more and more to extract. We only have to run out of sun, wind, and water flow when the world stops turning, and I don't expect that to happen anytime soon. I propose we reward people who work towards employing energy-efficient standards, as well as development of small-scale local energy origination stations that use solar, wind, and hydrokinetic underwater turbines to power those communities, reducing the cost of energy from long-distance transmission. Our lives are dependent on a healthy environment, and it makes no sense for our government to continue funding a dying industry. The buggy whip has to go. I'm Dennis Lambert, and I approve this message. On May 6th, for the 6th District, vote for me, Dennis Lambert. And when you grab that Green Party ballot, vote for Anita Rios for governor and Bob Fitrakis for lieutenant governor. Write those candidates in on your ballot for governor and lieutenant governor. Anita Rios, Bob Fitrakis. Thank you for supporting democracy.